Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Street Cat Al Show. And we're here with a very special guest, one that I've known all my whole life. And I'm so happy to have him here to the show. I'm very honored. And we're going to start off by you telling the audience your name, where you're from, where you grew up at, and where you live at now.
All right. Well, first of all, let me thank you for allowing me to be on your program. Uh, it's a wonderful program, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I hope that whatever wisdom that I can impart upon your audience will be well received and help you in promotion of your business and what you're trying to do on your platform. So once again, thank you, my brother, for the opportunity. So yes, my name, government name, pardon me, is William Moses. That's my government name. However, I do have the attribute that they call me Brother Shabazz. The reason they call me Brother Shabazz is because I have studied under the teachings of the Most Honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad, and that was the name that was attributed to me because of my understanding of the teachings. I'm from Florida, Daytona Beach, Florida, actually. Was born and raised there, and that's where I grew up. So I grew up typical, as any other brother. Came up hard, came up through the streets. I was fortunate to acquire my high school education. I graduated high school, and I went through a little bit of time through junior college. But over the course of time, the streets is where I got my major education from, my PhD from the streets. And so, as typical with the streets, you're going to have your ups and downs. So, of course, I went through the hardships of the streets, going through, various times of incarceration, which I'm not proud to say, but as Malcolm X says, being a former criminal is no disgrace, but remaining one is a disgrace. So I have to say that now at this particular point in time of life, for the last 30-something plus years, I have not been of that type of lifestyle. That's just an experience that I had growing up. It's typical for a lot of black men in American society. But now, I'm at the stage in life to where I'm more mature now. And my goal and purpose at this particular point in time is to impart my wisdom upon the youth in hopes that the experiences that I have went through in life, that I could relate to them, would help guide them down the correct path to where they don't make the same mistakes that I have made and a lot of us black men have made in the past. And so that is what I live for now, and hopefully through this platform I'll be able to help guide our young people in a good direction.
Okay, that's wonderful. And I see that you wrote several books here. One of them is titled What Black Women Should Not Do in Relationships, and then you have another one called Black Truth.
For the black man.
For the black man.
Correct.
Okay. All right, well, back in the days, I did my investigation, and at one point they said you had a little reputation in Daytona for living the pimp lifestyle before you changed your life. So give the audience a little insight of those days when you were macking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's not really something I'm proud of, but again, when you're coming up through the streets, that's a part of it. That's a part of the education. So yeah, back in the day, I had a few ladies that liked me and did what they felt that was necessary to help me succeed in life. And I took it. I don't want to say that I took advantage of that, but I did incorporate their life into mine to where it was beneficial and advantageous to me. And so, yeah, I had a few women back in the day. They used to kick me down that paper. And uh, that's just, it was what it was. It is what it is. Like I say, I'm not really proud of my street cred, because again, I'm older now with a different type of mindset and different type of lifestyle. But I can say that I was a force to be reckoned with back in the day. I'm not trying to say I was big and illustrious like Magic Don Juan and boys like that, but I could hold my own. Of course, when I used to travel, when I used to go to places like Las Vegas, I used to meet some of the pimps there, and they recognized me right off, because a player recognizes a player. And so with that being said, at one point in time, I was always an individual that had ladies that took care of me in the ways that I needed for them to take care of me, which means, they kicked down that paper and they did what was necessary, that I decided what was necessary for them to do to provide for my lifestyle, to enhance the vision and the goal that I was trying to attain back in that day. Yes, sir.
All right, then. So I want to ask you a personal question. Although I've witnessed some of the moments, but could you let the audience know who introduced you to the game?
The Pimp game, that part?
Introduced you to the Pimp game.
Yeah. Actually, it was a brother named James Candidate. Yes, sir. He introduced me to the Pimp game. And he was a real player. He used to have the Baritz Cadillac. I don't know if you remember what type of Cadillac that was, but it was a two-door coupe. And the trunk was slanted upwards in the back, like with a little tire in the back. Right. And that I remember, man, he rolled up in the project with that, and he had his attire on. He had the curls, he had the jewelry. And he had a couple girls that, got out the back seat, or got out and opened the door for him quite naturally. But he had a few women with him at the time. And actually, he introduced me to them. And one of them actually ended up, choosing me. So, yeah, it was a brother named Candidate, James Candidate. God bless the dead. I think he has passed away now. And I think he used to run with a brother named Loomis out of Texas.
Was that Loomis Green?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's Loomis Green, but Loomis, I know it was Loomis, and he was a big time pimp out of Texas. And this was back in either the late 80s or the early 90s, when I first met those guys, Loomis and James. But James is the one that introduced me to the Pimp game. He gave me some of the rules and laws of how to establish yourself, how to function in that game, how to keep the women under control, and just how to maintain your status as a player. Because, back in those days, to be a pimp and to be a player, you had to carry yourself a certain way. You couldn't call yourself a player and be walking around with raggedy jeans and dusty shoes, you know what I mean? You had to dress a particular type of way. You had to have your hair set up a certain type of way. You always had to be groomed and well kept. And you could only eat certain types of foods, you know what I mean? And you only visited certain types of places, and you just had to carry yourself a certain type of way, because one of the reasons why is because, your women, your girls, they're looking at you. You understand? So if they have chosen you to represent them, because the thing is if you're a boss player and a boss pimp, then you have to make them women know and understand that it's in their best interest to be around you. See, because for them to be around you, that makes them look good. Check. That gives them a reputation in the street. And so that's why they're going to do what is necessary to help get you to the goal that you're trying to achieve. Now, once you run all this down on them and convince them that this is the life that they need to live and this is what they're supposed to do, then they're going to do everything which is necessary to make sure you reach your goal and the dream that you have presented to them. So if you are not upholding your end of the bargain, then that's when you go to losing your females. See, because then they see, oh, yeah, man, you are fake, you're a phony, you're a fraud, you're not a real player dedicated to the game. And then that's when you get your women taken by other dudes. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, you get them knocked off, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And so it's important that you carry yourself in a certain way. Now, don't get it twisted. Just because you may see a player that has some ladies in the stable and he looking good, you know, a lot of the thugs, they think, oh, you just a pimp, man. You ain't really no hardcore, real street dude. And they're going to come at you and they're going to try you. And it's at these times that you have to assert yourself or let it be known that, look, man, I am a man. You understand what I'm saying? And then you have to showcase your manhood. So all that glamour and glitz that they see, they get put to the back. And then you have to deal with another man as you deal with another man. And unfortunately, in the street, sometimes that can lead to a result that's not conducive to living a long life. You know, but that's a part of the game. So, to sum it up, you know, that's type of lifestyle is very demanding, and you have to be dedicated. You can't come in a half-ass thinking, you know, just because you see something on TV or in the movies and you come into the game like that, you know, pretending you are what you are not, you know, because when you do that, then you're going to be exposed immediately as a fraud, and then you're going to get kicked out the game. So it's either in you or it's not. And fortunately for me, at that particular time in my young life, it was in me. It was just natural, you know what I mean? I wasn't no bad looking guy. I looked a whole lot better than I do now when I was younger, and the ladies just were attracted to me. And with all that being said, I was able to parlay their affection for me into a lifestyle that allowed me to live comfortably for quite some time.
Okay. Now, what advice would you give to young players that is wanting to become a pimp? You know, give them the downside of the game.
Well, it's a lot of downside to the game. For one thing, the number one downside to the, well, I won't say number one, but a major downside to the game is the health issue. See, a lot of players and pimps, they don't want to talk about this. They just like to talk about the women that they have and the money that they are getting from the services of these women. But what they don't like to talk about is the serious sexual health side that comes with that, because you're going to be going to the clinic on a regular basis. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a good pimp up on your game, then you're going to make sure your women are a good, healthy product. You know what I mean? You're going to make sure they get those physicals. You're going to make sure they get those tests. You know, you're going to make sure they're not out there selling no rotten product. You understand what I'm saying? You understand me? And of course, you know, being that these are your women, from time to time, you have to sexually satisfy them, because that's one of the reasons why they're doing some of the things that they do for you, because they want to be satisfied physically, not just emotionally and mentally, but they want to be satisfied sexually by you, because you are the ultimate male for them. So, you know, you when you have these encounters with them, you don't want to be, like I say, dealing with no rotten product. See, so that's why a real true player, a real true pimp is going to have his women, you know, up to par. But however, you got guys that don't adhere to the strict code and policy of the health part of this game. You understand me? Because a lot of these dudes, you know, they ain't never had no women, and then when they get some, because they gorilla pimping, or, you know, they put them on drugs and string them out like that, which is a cheap way to get women to do what you need for them to do. And then if you one of them types of dudes, you ain't really seasoned like that, you know, you look around like, man, I got 2-3 women here, I can just get with them anytime I want, and then you running off in them raw, butt naked, and you're not realizing the fact that, hey man, these women out here messing with other men. Now, even though you may have provided them with protection, such as condoms and stuff like that, you know, that stuff is not 100% effective. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of these women, they'll get raw dog, or the trick be like, hey, listen, man, I appreciate that, you know, but I'm gonna give you an extra $200-300 because I want to go up and you raw. You know what I mean? Like that. And then what the trick gonna do? She gonna go for that because she knows she got to be out there making that paper. Because if she don't make that paper, if she come back and see me without that paper, it's gonna be some severe consequences. So with all that being said, the likelihood of STDs and things of that nature is a part of that game. See what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't like to say that. So that would be the first thing that I would impart upon a young brother trying to get down into that lane. You understand, is the health aspect of it. Because not only are you trying to make sure that you have a good, healthy product with your women, you have to look out for yourself. Again, because I say you're going to have to service these women from time to time. And if they're bringing you something from the street, you mess around and get something you can't get rid of. Yeah, you're a boss player and you done had 30, 40, 50 women in your stable and your name is ringing all over the state, throughout the United States, whatever, what have you. But after that, when you go home alone, you got to open the medicine cabinet and you got to take 4 or 5 pills every day to sustain your life. See, so that part is what that's the information that I would give to a youngster trying to get into this game. Fortunately for myself, I'm clean. You know, I got a good bill of health. I don't have any kind of diseases or nothing like that, but I'm just giving that part of the game to you because a lot of the bros, they don't want to talk about that part. So that would be the main thing that I would try to get a young man to understand about that game.
Oh, okay, because you spoke to me once before and told me you have to also be careful. If a woman or one of your girls get bitter, they may try to poison you. Put poison in your food and your drinks.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, listen, man, you're going to get some females, they're going to be recalcitrant, hard-headed hoes, so to speak. Hard to manage, hard to control. A lot of women like that, the only way to really bring them under control back in that day and era, you have to gorilla them. You know what I mean? You have to lay the pimp hand down. You have to keep your gators on their neck. And any kind of deviation from the orders that you give them, you have to be on them severely with the punishment. You understand me? And that's just what you had to do for certain females. Now, you can't predict what type of woman is coming into your stable. She's just a woman. You know what I mean? And you have to deal with them, each one differently, because of their personality and who they are. And you have to get to their brain to be able to get them to see your vision and do what you need them to do, right? So some women, and like what you're talking about, you just have to be hard on them. See, and those type of women are the ones you really have to look out for, because they get out of control at some point in time. Now I can just, look, you done, get out my stable, and you gone. Okay, no problem. But you get some of them, which all of them to a degree, really, they love you. You understand what I'm saying? They are in love with you. So to them, you are their man, which you are. You're their man. And it's hard for them to just be separated from you. Because the hardest thing you can do to them is kick them away. Like, look, I don't need you. Going back to wherever you need to go, I'm going to be fine. I got other women that love me more than you. See what I'm saying? You ain't even worthy of being with me because you don't love me on the level that I need you to love me like the rest of these women are doing. But you want to be hard-headed and fall out of line. So I tell you what, you gone, kick them onto the curb. Now that hurts them more than a backhand to the face or a foot to the ass. You understand what I'm saying? But you get women like that, recalcitrant hoes, but they be in love with you and they just can't let you go. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, I done had females poison me, almost killed me actually. At the moment that it was going on, I didn't realize that was what was happening. I thought it was something else. But in the end, come out the trick. The female was poisoning me, man, because her love for me, and it was everything to her. And then when it got to the point that she was so recalcitrant that I got rid of her, she couldn't take it. And so when she found the opportunity, she poisoned me. And man, I was in the hospital for about a month. You know, I was on death's door. You know, they had to do what they had to do to save my life, and I appreciate them for what they did. Because if not, I'd have been gone a long time ago. So yeah, I had a female, man. She tried to take me out. I had another one that in that right prior to that tried to take me out. She missed me by like a hair, because I was standing inside on this side of the door, the screen door, and she was outside trying to get in. Another one of the recalcitrant females that I ended up getting rid of because she didn't want to stick to the program like the rest of them. And again, you know, because of her love for me, this, that, and the third, she couldn't take it. So some kind of way, she got me to the door to try to talk, to beg and plead, to plead her case for me to let her return to the stable. And so, you know, I entertained the thought, because I'm all about that paper. If you're going to make that paper, then I could use you. But when I got up to the screen door, she had a butcher knife, a butcher knife, and she had it hidden behind her. And so when I come up to the door, she was talking, and, you know, I'm talking, you know, and next thing I know, she raised up and pow, she come through that screen door with the butcher knife. And because I was young, I had good reflexes. And but when she came through the screen, you know, I kind of turned and leaned back, and I saw the butcher knife come right there, man. And she almost had me. So that's just two incidences, because I got many more I could talk about that. Some of the ladies tried to delete a brother. And it wasn't out of hatred. It was just out of their love for me that had gotten to such a degree to whereas all they thought about was me accepting them and keeping them around. And then when that didn't happen anymore, they just flipped out. Right. But that's in the game. That come with the territory. They are women, and they are emotional.
All right.
Yes,
Church. All right. So, what was your name on the streets? What did they call you?
Oh, they called me Pretty Boy.
Pretty Boy, Billy
Pretty Boy. Yeah, they called me Pretty Boy. Pretty Boy. Actually, they used to call me, you know, on the street, they used to call me Billy Boy. And then they used to call me Pretty Boy, Billy Boy. And that's, you know, that's real country or whatever. Then they, you know, just went to call me Pretty Boy Bill. Yeah. Right. Yeah, you know, because I got the green eyes, you know.
Yeah.
Yes,
sir. To see you with.
Yeah. The better to see you with. Yeah.
I still have a few friends of mine that like to brag on you when you was pimping.
Yeah.
Derek George.
Yeah.
Restaurant called Get It While It's Hot.
Uh-huh.
And every time he see me, he say, "Boy, I remember when Billy Boy was pimping, boy, and he had Tony and all them." And he said, "He used to be talking about Billy Boy, my man."
Yeah.
Billy Boy, my man.
Yeah.
He said, "Boy, Billy Boy had them bitches wrapped around his hand."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Around his motherfucking finger.
Yeah.
So anyway, how did you wind up serving time in prison?
Slinging dope, you know. Of course, back in my day, which was again the late 80s and the 90s, early 90s, as I'm sure anybody from that area understands and is well aware, that was the crack epidemic era. And so everybody was getting in on it, and I got in on it because it was a gold mine and it was a moneymaker. And, you know, I had to go through my learning curve on that. Unfortunately, part of that learning curve was, you know, getting set up, you know, and doing a little time. So that's what I went to, as we call it, school. Back in the day, we don't say you went to prison, you went to school. And the reason we say that is because a lot of the brothers, you know, you go in there and you have time to reflect and find yourself, you know what I mean, and evolve. And then you come out of there a brand new man, different from the young, dumb thug you were when you went in there. And so that's why we call it school, because that's the best education you can get. You can't find that in college, you know, finding the knowledge of self. So anyway, that was a reason why I got incarcerated, amongst some aggravated assaults and aggravated batteries, kind of violent, but on the streets, when the time comes to do what you need to do, it is what it is. And that was, I did the majority of a stretch. I did a long stretch off of aggravated battery, attempted murder, shooting, throwing deadly missiles, all that type of stuff. And so, unfortunately for me, that took a lot of time out of my life. I'm not going to sit here and say how much time I did, but I did a long stretch. But again, back to the point, that's just a part of the street life. If you're in the streets, you live in the streets, that comes with it. And I was not excluded from that.
Okay, all right. So, could you tell us about the children? Do you have any kids?
Oh yeah. I have a couple some children, a couple daughters. It's kind of ironic, you know what I mean? Here I am having the women to live off of, so to speak, and then I end up with the daughters. Actually, I had a son. God bless the dead. He didn't make it. My firstborn actually was a son, but he didn't make it. But yeah, I have 2 daughters and a host of grandchildren.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So after doing your stint in school, as you call it,
Mm-hmm.
What made you square up?
Well, for one, when you're in school, you're going to go through that religious journey, So I went to trying to figure out why I was even in this predicament and what is it that I did to deserve to be in this type of situation. Because I've always thought that internally I had a good heart and am a good person. So I didn't feel that I deserved to be in that particular type situation, locked up for years on end. So I went to searching, internally, like, okay, what's wrong with me? Is there something wrong with me? Is there something that I'm missing? Is it just something about life that I don't understand? And when you go to thinking like that, the natural course or the obvious course that most guys take, in that situation is, okay, let me go with religion. I grew up as a Christian and whatnot, but I come to realize that Christianity was not working for me because I pray to Jesus and, you know what I mean, and get baptized and all of that stuff, and reading the Bible and this, that, and the third, but my life had never changed. I was still suffering like everybody else. So I was like, well, man, maybe that math is not mathing. So I started a religious journey. I ended up trying Hebrew Israelite. Then I eventually went to the Orthodox Islam, and then I ended up in the Nation of Islam. And I started studying the teachings of the Most Honorable Mr. Elijah Muhammad. And I found that worked for me. It allowed me to have discipline to stay on the right course. And it taught me a lot about the knowledge of self, and it just taught me a lot about the world around me. And so with that, and also the fact that, I had a child out there in the world that I wanted, I desperately wanted to get back to be a good father to. And that, I was growing old. I was still young in my 20s or whatnot, but I realized that, hey, man, this is not the way to be. And I have to develop into a more disciplined, responsible, mature man. And so that once I realized those things through the helping of the teachers, it's kind of like a light bulb went off. And then from that point on, I made the decision and the conscious effort to stay what they call the right course.
All right. Now, with all the experience that you have, how do you compare women dealing with them in the pimp game versus the square world?
Run that by me again. I'm trying to understand. Run that by me one more time.
Well, basically, I was saying you've dealt with women
on the one side,
on the pimp level in the life
of
pimping and hoeing,
mm-hmm.
and then later you start dealing with women in the square world.
Right.
So tell me some of the differences and some of the similarities that the women that you deal with in the square world versus.
Well, to be honest with you, it's really no difference in them because they're still emotional creatures. The thing is that I had to make an adjustment for me first because it was difficult for me to make that adjustment to relating to them in one fashion and then not trying to relate to them in a different fashion. You understand me? So I had to make an adjustment, which was a little difficult for me because I found myself reverting back to the mindset of pimp whole relationship. You know what I mean? But that could not parlay over 100% into a relationship deal. However, the similarity is you do, to a certain extent, utilize the same format. Because in a relationship, again, you're still dealing with a female, emotional creature. And a female, as we know, they're going to try you any opportunity that they get. You know, they're going to check to see what kind of man they're dealing with. They want to know if they're dealing with what's considered a real man or a sucker. You understand me? So when you are able to understand that, then when they come at you with deadly tricks and games to try to get you to cater to what they want you to do or be who they want you to be, you're able to see that. And once you're able to see that, then now that's when the principles kick in. You understand? And you can squash that. Because if you can't see it coming, women are crafty. You understand me? I mean, women are, man, they are some crafty individuals. And if you are not up on yourself as a man, they will twist you all around and have you living your life for them as opposed to living your life for yourself with them being allowed to be a part of your life. You understand me? So the similarities from the game into the regular relationship, that is where the similarity lie. Because you have to keep a woman in check. Now, that's not trying to say that I'm trying to just dominate a woman and you stand in, you don't move until I tell you, you don't speak till I tell you to speak. Well, no, I'm not pimping you like that. You understand me? But in the dynamic of a relationship, you have to realize that we are dealing with two separate species. You're dealing with the male species and you're dealing with the female species. And they were made different. Just point blank, plain and simple. I didn't do it. You can ask God about that if you want to go that route. The male species is different from the female species. The male species is a penetrator. You understand? A leader. The female species is a receiver and a nurturer. So when it comes down to relationships, the woman doesn't need to try to act like the man because that don't work. And the man don't need to be influenced and tricked and to start acting like a woman. See, because the shit today is reversed.
Exactly.
You understand me? We got our young men out here, our young boys out here acting like women. And we got our young girls and women out here acting like men. So the thing is, well, where does that come from? It's got to come from somewhere. The shit don't just fall out of the sky. And a lot of that, we can go into it because that's a long history about what the government did to separate the families through drugs and through welfare and all of this, that, and the third. But what it comes down to nowadays is that the absence or the attempted elimination of family is what has caused this problem. You understand me? Because most of us, me, myself included, and a lot of other people that I knew, grew up in a single family household. And that single family household usually consists of what? Parent, the mother, right? Exactly. So now we're going to give credit to our women. They are capable of raising us up as from a youth. That's the law of nature. Even out there in nature, when the animal has the babies, who take care of the babies? The mother. And they follow the mother around and they learn what they need to learn. However, in nature, once that baby, particularly a male, becomes an adult, he separates from the mother. And the mother can no longer tell him what to do, right? Because he is a male species and he has to live the male life, right? But in our community, right, there is a low percentage of separation of the child, particularly the male child, from the female mother. Because we have people, as I'm sure you're well aware of, they in 40s and 50s still living with their mama. But the point that I'm making is because of the attempted destruction of the family, particularly the black family, and we only have these single parent households, the children are being raised predominantly by the woman. Now that's okay for a girl because she needs to learn how to grow into being a woman. But when it comes to you and I, the black male, okay, we need to learn what it is to become a man, right? Exactly. The mama can teach us things, as we young coming up. But as I mentioned earlier, once we get to a certain level, we have to break off on our own and be a male, not no female, and with no female characteristics. Now, who is there to teach us how to be a actual man in this world? Only a man can teach a boy, how to be a man. You understand me? So when that man is absent in the household, then now we have young boys growing up with the characteristics of women. They're emotional. They're indecisive. You understand what I'm saying? They're reactive. That's not the character and qualities and traits of a real man. A real man is a thinker. You understand me? So when he is faced with adversities and difficulties in life or the vicissitudes of life, a man is going to take the time to stop and think, okay, well, what's the problem? Why is this a problem? What can I do to fix and correct this problem? This is what I need to do and fix and correct this problem. Let me go down that path to correct the problem and put myself in a better situation. To whereas a woman, when trials and tribulations come to them and conflicts and whatnot, they get emotional. Oh God, I can't,
And crash out.
And they crash out. And we look at our young men today. They do the same thing. They crash out. You understand me? As I think we were talking about earlier, a dude and his old lady got into an argument. The lady said something to the dude. He got mad, took the baby out of the car, put the baby in front of the car, ran the baby over. That's not thinking like a man. That's being emotional like a woman, reacting like a woman. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the problem that we have in the black society or the black culture, so-called culture of today, is that we do not have the traditional family of black man, black woman, black child, with the male being there in particular to raise the young boy into a man. And that's a real problem that we have today. And it's incumbent actually upon men like you and myself and other men who have this type of knowledge to be able to impart that to the young men who want to listen. And hopefully any woman that is listening to this interview that we're having right now understand where we're coming from. We're not here to try to dominate you. We're not here to try to treat you like a slave or a puppet. You understand me? We just want to reconnect with you, reestablish the family, and so we can raise our children properly. So boys can grow up to be men, girls can grow up to be women, and it won't be the other way around that society has fashioned for us to be, because it's destroying the black race, the black community.
Well said, Brother Moses. Mm-hmm. With all that being said, could you let the audience know about your books?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, let me talk about this one first. This is called Black Truth for the Black Man. And what this is a book that's dedicated to helping our young black men find themselves. As I spoke of all the trials and tribulations that we go through as youth trying to grow into an adulthood, it's particularly difficult for the black men. Not to say that it's not difficult for the black woman, but I'm speaking for black men because I am a black man. and we need to have a guidance to help us grow into the position of positive black male to where we can help ourselves in our community. And this book is geared towards that. My second book is What Black Women Should Not Do in Relationships, and it's a manual for correction and guidance, and it's information for control and peaceful solutions to the gender war, because we do have a war going on between the black man and the black woman, and we need to be able to solve that if we want to continue on as a race of people in a civilized society. So these are the two books that I have. You're welcome to purchase them, and we'll give you the information at the end of this interview how you can attain those books. And we have one last thing here, which is a governmental aspect that we have developed called unionism. And what unionism is a way of life, a way of life for us, as opposed to capitalism, communism, socialism, and fascism. It's a program that's designed to rebuild the black family and the black community. And so these are some of the literature that I have ready now for consumption for anyone who's interested in it. And we have other books on the shelf that we just have to get published. But these are the three that we have ready at this particular point in time.
All right. And could you let the audience know how they can order the book? Through a phone number, website?
Yeah, you can contact me at lordkhabir@gmail.com. That's Lord, Khabir, at gmail.com. And you can also contact me at Unionist Solutions. That's Unionist Solutions at gmail.com. Or you can call me directly at 321-332-3440. And you can put in your order, and we'll make sure we get that to you ASAP.
Well, Brother Moses, man, we really enjoyed you here on the Street Cat Avenue show. And hey, man, I learned a lot. I will be having you come back.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Before we wrap things up, give the audience a final word of wisdom.
Well, I guess the final thing that I could say is, first and foremost, is always try to maintain good health. It's nothing more important in this world than good health. You can have all the money in the world, and you will trade that all in to have good health. So first and foremost, be mindful of your body, be mindful of your mind, be mindful of your spirit, and try to keep that healthy at all times, because the world that we live in is built to destroy you, and we have to do is be strong enough to fight off the evils that are geared towards us and be able to make our way through this battle onto the other side of a civilized and functioning society. And lastly, just do your best to not only be a good person for yourself and for others that are coming to your world, but in particular for your family. Because again, the number one goal of black people nowadays is to preserve our existence. And only way I feel that we will be able to make it through these hard times and come in on the other side on the righteous note is to preserve the black family. So take care of your health and try to preserve the black family, and then do the best you can in life towards others. And as they say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
All right, Brother Moses, Street Cat Avenue, Church.